All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for another edition of your favorite Southeast Texas podcast, and maybe worldwide one day, Beyond the Mic. Welcome to another week. Glad to have you with us. I'm Carlos Zimmermann, John Clendenin, alongside of me, producer Justin, alongside of us as well as we get ready to dive into another episode as we have a lot to talk about. College football, Texas high school football playoffs are arrived. College hoops is back. The NFL is still nuts. So much to discuss, but I think we don't break with tradition, and we just open up with our favorite sport, college football.
Yeah, a fantastic week of college football. One that, at the time, a lot of people had looked at this and were like, oh, man, Alabama versus LSU, you got Indiana versus Penn State. You have all these great matchups in the preseason. And then some teams lost, and everybody said, oh, well, you know what, never mind, forget about this week. And we may have just had the game of the year in Penn State versus Indiana. Probably one of the most insane catches I've ever seen in my entire life.
So fun story about that. Me and our great SID at Sam Houston, Ben Reichard, we were out on a walk. We walked 6.5 miles, by the way, on game day on Saturday. I don't know how we did it. In 40-degree weather, too, in Oregon.
Was it sunny?
At times.
At times?
It would get cloudy for the most. It was cloudy at the start. Then it got sunny once we got to. So we walked to Autzen Stadium.
You can do
in
that.
Eugene. Yeah, from our hotel there is a bike path from our hotel to Autzen Stadium. It's about a 2-mile walk.
Okay.
And so we just walked over to Autzen and saw all the cool things there.
Yeah.
Went into the duck store. It was awesome. But on the way back from walking that long trek, and my feet still hurt from it. I pull up my phone, and I'm like, holy bleep, Ben. Indiana's down 4 to Penn State. And we were like, oh. So I pull up YouTube TV. I put it on because it wasn't on ESPN, so it wasn't effective.
You could have it.
So pulled it up. We're walking and watching, and then Mendoza makes that throw. And for a second, I thought, oh, he's just throwing it away and then trying again on 4th down. But
Yep. And that
kid
guy
picks it out of the air. Omar Cooper picks it out of the air and somehow got the foot down without the other foot hitting out of bounds first.
Yeah.
Remarkable. Best catch I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, there's times, when we talk about the best catches we've ever seen, I still think about Odell Beckham Jr. going behind his head. What a lot of people don't realize is that he was falling down because Brandon Carr of the Dallas Cowboys pulled him down because he just was unstoppable. And so it's up there, but the Giants won that game like 30-13. It wasn't as important. And I think that's the things that when we think about, what makes catches iconic, that catch kept Indiana's conference championships hope alive. They've never won the conference championship in the Big Ten before.
Right.
And so for them to stay alive, to go into Happy Valley, a place they have not won before, and for that to be the catch, that's up there with, the catch between the 49ers and the Cowboys, that kind of – it's the moment that makes the catch special. But, yeah, I was at Ken Hall Memorial Stadium calling Navasota versus Fort Bend Crawford, and I get a text from my dad, and he's like, Indiana's losing to Penn State by 4, 2 minutes to go. And so I pulled it up on my laptop, and all of a sudden I didn't realize it's all the coaches that were next door in Navasota during halftime started watching the game. And so the ones that had stayed up there in the booth, so their film crew and stuff. But just an outstanding game. It's always fun when you get those kind of games. Other than that, in the nightcap, they did it. I said last week it was going to be the one that they could possibly get. And Sam Houston State, 21-point underdog, Carlos.
Yeah, I know.
21.5, actually. I don't want to short them half a point. Pulls the upset over Oregon State. And, when Landon Locke threw that interception on the screen pass, they just floated it up. I said, this is how they're going to lose it again.
I sat there and I was like, man, nothing can go right. Even when everything that has gone right, went right, I was like, is this really going to be what does them in again, and then defense stepped up big on that last drive and were able to secure the victory. Special teams really won that game for the Bearkats. Tim Burns Jr. returning the opening kickoff of the second half. Mind you, they had to re-kick because of offsetting penalties on the initial kick. So I said on the broadcast with Brian, I was like, hey, we'll take the re-kick because that just got the Cats within 3. And then just back and forth, and then the blocked punt. The freshman, Brody Henderson, returns it for a touchdown, ultimately the game winner. I'm just so happy for those guys. They've been through so much this season, through all the changes they've had to endure and the adversity and games where it felt like the win was there, but it falls short. And then they finally were able to get over the hump. It was a fun plane ride back home for about the 10 minutes that it was, and then we all passed out.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say emotional game. Looking at some other games. BYU versus Texas Tech.
Fun game.
Fun game. A little disappointing on the BYU side, but I think the atmosphere and the environment that was in Lubbock on Saturday, they could not be denied. Just really, I mean, it's so hard to go into a place that amped up.
Yeah.
And the wind was swirling as it does out in West Texas. Just insane. Oregon versus Iowa. I got to catch the tail end of that game. It looks like Iowa's gonna pull it out. Honestly, they probably should have won.
They should have
with the safety and fumbling in the red zone, but Oregon once again survives and advances and slowly creeping up. They're kind of the forgotten team in the Big Ten right now.
They are.
They got it. Looked that win at Happy Valley at the start of the season. Everybody said it was the best one in the country. I think it still is a good win because of how the environment at Happy Valley was and how talented that Penn State team was. But they get blown out by Indiana, and then everybody kind of forgets about them.
Yeah.
And so they're quietly sneaking up. But yeah, overall, just a fantastic day. U of H nail biter over UCF to say they're Space City. Tulane knocks off Memphis.
I think from a G5 standpoint, I think that's starting to wipe the American off. It's slowly it's cannibalizing itself at this point if they want to bid to the CFP, and which we'll talk about here in a second. Me and John both have our top 12, which I believe come out tomorrow, Tuesday. Yes. So we have our presumptive 12 that we think how it's going to look here in a second. But, man, the American is just really, like I said, for lack of a better term, they've cannibalized themselves. I believe every team now has 2 losses in the American outside of maybe one, being North Texas.
But they have the loss to USF.
They do. So it's starting to look a lot tougher for the American to be the team that gets that 12 seed in the field of 12. So I don't know. We'll talk about that in a second. But there were a lot of fun games from over the weekend. Maction was quite interesting throughout the midweek. You Got to love some good Maction with Ohio being the front runner of the MAC this season. Trying to look through here. Cal upsets Louisville 29-26.
A conference cannibalizing itself.
The ACC.
The ACC.
And then Wake Forest beating Virginia. That may have wiped out Virginia and Louisville from the picture in trying to get into the CFP. They could still backdoor their way if they continue to win out and whoever wins the ACC at the end of the day. But, man, that's a conference that's really just ate itself up. James Madison, big win over Marshall on the road, 8-1 Dukes of James Madison. I'm trying to look through here. Some other ones that were big. A big one for me that I followed was in the Conference USA ranks. It was Louisiana Tech and Delaware. I followed that one closely. Louisiana Tech was up 24-16 with 3 minutes left to go in the game. Delaware scores a touchdown. They fail the 2-point conversion, so got to go onside kick or you lose the game. They recover the onside kick and then hit a field goal at the end of the game and won 25-24. All that happening in the final 3 minutes of the game. So backbreaker for La Tech, but a good one for Delaware, who Sam Houston will see on Saturday. But really, all in all, a great weekend of college football. That was just enjoyable to watch, and I think it's going to set up big going into Week 12, which we'll talk about at the tail end of this segment. But, John, I think it's a good time now to dive into what we think the CFP will look like, the rankings at that. Or actually, the way I did my prediction was who I think the top 12 would be if the season were to be over today.
Yeah. Did you include the move-ups for the champions in that? Or did you just put your 1 through 12 in?
I think I just put my 1 through 12.
Gotcha. Okay, because, I think that we're looking at the top 10 teams are going to be in. And then I think we're going to have two. I think 11 and 12 are going to get jumped by the two conference champions that get the auto bid.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we can look at that. For me, right now,
Tell you what, I'll rewrite it and I'll say what my auto bids are going to be.
Gotcha.
My top 4, and then your at larges.
Gotcha. Yep. So my top 4, I have A&M number 1. I think they're the number 1 team in the country. I think that when you look at the fact that they're the first SEC team to go on the road and win 3 straight road games since 2012's Texas A&M team, that speaks a lot to the talent and caliber of that conference and a lot to the talent and caliber of this A&M team specifically. Everybody's sitting there waiting for the other shoe to drop. Texas 8-4, they can't win in November, all this stuff. It's not going to happen with Mike Elko. I feel confident in saying that. Good friend in the podcast, Andrew Monaco, when talking with him about this team, I just think that.
Did I tell you I waved at him on the tarmac?
You sent me the photo or the screenshot of the text.
Yeah, we were both getting ready to take off for our respective destinations at the same time on Friday. Anyway, continue.
But yeah, I like A&M. I think Marcel Reed is one of the 4 best players in college football. We continue to see the development of Reuben Owens with the absence of Le'Veon Moss, who might come back for the Texas game in the playoffs. If they get him back, watch out, because when he is healthy and playing, he's the best running back in the SEC and arguably in college football. He was averaging almost 9 yards a carry in the last 4 games he played. The first 2 I don't really count because they were kind of trying to limit him and keep him healthy and keep touches off of him. But yeah. Number 2, I have Ohio State. I think that they've been kind of on cruise control this season. I don't think they've really played anybody tough besides a Texas team that I think because they are Texas, they're being overvalued on the win against Vanderbilt, which I think was a good win. But when you really look at that win and you look at the metrics of Texas, they've struggled a lot against top-tier teams. The only team that they beat soundly was Oklahoma. That was with the hurt John Mateer, who we could clearly see was not the same quarterback we saw in the first quarter of the season. Number 3, I have Indiana. I had them at number 2 last week, or no, I had them at number 1 last week. When looking at last game against Penn State, I thought it kind of showed some deficiencies for the Hoosiers, that the floor may be as high as anybody else's, but I don't know how they're going to be able to respond against teams that are just strictly more talented than them. We talked about the catch. Fernando Mendoza has been great all year. The thing about Heisman moments for me is I don't think a single play is a Heisman moment. I don't think a drive is a Heisman moment. I think a game is a Heisman moment. So I think when we look at the winner of the Heisman, it's going to be decided in what quarterback has the best conference championship game between Ohio State and Indiana, and then also A&M and Alabama, who I have at number 4. So those are my top 4 buys. I have Bama at 4. Ty Simpson, they have a ball control offense. He's done a very good job of limiting turnovers. This is not the same Alabama team we watched play against Florida State. A Florida State team that had a new offensive coordinator, had a new quarterback, had a new offensive scheme that Alabama was not going to be able to really prepare for. And they came out and punched them in the mouth. But this Alabama team that won 4 straight games, ranked games, and they've struggled against non-ranked opponents. But when it's time to play and they see a number next to somebody else's name, they come out ready to play. And when you get into the college football playoff, everybody's ranked.
Right.
So I like that. I I have Texas Tech at 5. I have them taking on USF at 12. I have they would match up with Bama. The winner of that game would go to Bama. I have Georgia and Georgia Tech. I have Georgia Tech as the ACC champion. I slotted them back in after the losses by Virginia and Louisville allowed them to go back in there. The winner of that game would go against Indiana. I have BYU at Ole Miss. Playing the winner of that game would play Ohio State. Ole Miss has continued to just win the games against their relatively easy schedule, and I think they're going to continue to stay high in the rankings. BYU, I'm not going to knock you for going and losing in Lubbock when you've shown me that you can win again. Now I think that they would need to either win their conference championship game or kind of blow out the rest of their schedule to hold on to that. But right now I think they're the 10th best team in the country. And then I have number 8 Oregon versus number 9 Notre Dame. Notre Dame has a chance to seal its college football playoff ticket against Pittsburgh this weekend, College Game Day. And like I said, Oregon kind of the forgotten team there in the Big Ten, but they just went and beat Iowa at a muggy Iowa-style game. And I think it says something that, hey, you can go and win those kind of games whenever it's raining and Iowa is just going to pull you into a mud fist fight.
So, here are my 12 that I put together. Similar to yours, but slightly different. I still have Ohio State at number 1. They've beaten everyone they should have beaten, and I think their wins right now that have been of some quality still hold. So that's why I still have them at number 1. However, I do have A&M at number 2. Just the way they have beaten down ranked opponents. But the big question will be, can they go beat Texas in Austin? That is the question to be determined. 3, Indiana. I think that scare that Penn State gave them over the weekend shows that Indiana is susceptible to being beat. So I have them falling to number 3. They'll lose to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, but still be, I think with their resume, still be a top 4 team. Then I have Alabama at number 4, losing to A&M in the SEC championship. Tech at number 5, winners of the Big 12. That's who I have. I mean, just they have just looked unstoppable all season long outside of their one loss, and it's easy to say that I think they'll be the best of the conference champions. Barring that, they can get into the top 4, I feel, if someone above them is going to fall apart, like maybe Alabama loses for whatever reason to Auburn. Is that game in Jordan-Hare, or is that in Tuscaloosa?
Let's see here.
Either way, I think that's the only way Tech's able to get into the top 4.
It is at Jordan-Hare, so
it's on the table.
I've seen crazier things happen.
This is true. Of course, that was back whenever Auburn had some semblance to them and not turmoil. I have Georgia at number 6, playing Georgia Tech, the ACC champ, at number 11. I have Ole Miss at number 7. They've beaten everybody they've needed to beat. They got to keep that pace, though, if they want to get into the CFP. I'm with you. Oregon against Notre Dame in round 1. I think that'd be a heck of a matchup. And that could flip-flop. You never know what could happen if Notre Dame is able to dominate the rest of their schedule. I think the only outside difference is I have Ole Miss playing Vanderbilt at number 10. I have Vanderbilt getting in over BYU, as long as Vanderbilt wins the remainder of their ball games that are in front of them.
So do you think Texas is going to lose this weekend to Georgia and knock them out?
Texas
Yeah.
losing to Georgia?
You think Texas is going to lose to Georgia? Okay,
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. I think that ultimately takes Texas out of the picture. I know the Oklahoma fans are like, well, hey, what about us? I'm like, I don't think you're getting by Bama in Tuscaloosa this weekend.
Yeah.
So, and then you have Missouri after that. So I think if you lose either of those, sure, if they beat Bama, that might change my thought process.
Yeah, if they beat Bama in Tuscaloosa.
Like that would vault them in, I think, and I think could put them safely in over Vanderbilt. However, if you lose to Bama, I think you're done.
Well, they have 2 losses right now. So they're not going to get into the SEC championship game just with the way things are. But a win over Bama that gives you a quality win on your schedule that's going to be on the road, that probably will be the best win in college football up to that point. You'll be 10-2. Texas would be 9-3. I don't know how the head-to-head would work there, but Texas really hasn't beaten anybody. That's the thing. That's my whole thing with Texas. And that's my thing with Ohio State and my thing with Indiana. Indiana has the win over Oregon in Autzen. Okay. The reason why I have A&M number one is because when you look at the analytics, right? Not even the eye test yet. Just if I look at the analytics, they have the number one strength of record in the country. Okay, that's supposed to be the number one thing the committee looks at when determining their rankings. So this whole thing about, well, when we got to the eye test, A&M's defense was just a little bit worse. Okay, well, we're not supposed to be looking at the eye test yet.
You're supposed to be looking
You're
at
supposed
the
to be
metrics.
looking at the metrics. A&M, strength of record, number one. Strength of schedule, 15. Remaining strength of schedule, 21. All right, Indiana, strength of record, 2. Strength of schedule, 33. Remaining strength of schedule, 26. Ohio State, strength of record, 3. Strength of schedule, 41. Remaining strength of schedule, 31. Okay, Alabama, their strength of record is 4. That's with a loss. That's in front of,
the loss to Florida State.
The loss to Florida State, which is a bad loss now.
Yes.
Right? Their strength of schedule has been 6, and their remaining strength of schedule is 24. So when I look at the metrics of who has played the hardest games and who's played the toughest opponents and come out of it, A&M is the best team in the best conference in college football. And so I just have a hard time when I look at Ohio State. Ohio State got to play against Grambling, and they got to play against Ohio. And Wisconsin is 3-6 and 1-5. They just got their first win the other day in conference play yesterday.
Upset Washington.
And then you look at Penn State. They're 3-6. They're 0-6 in conference play. I know they just gave Indiana a tough test in Happy Valley. And then they got to play Purdue, who's 2-8 and they're 0-7. So a lot of the talk about A&M is, they play Arkansas and they play these teams with fired head coaches. Is Ohio State any different?
Probably not.
So your best win, if you're looking at Ohio State,
is probably.
Is it Illinois, who's 6-3?
That's probably your best win.
They haven't played USC, Oregon, Michigan, Iowa. So Minnesota at 6-3, who's 4-2 in conference play. Their losses have been to Cal, Ohio State, and Iowa, 41-3. You let Iowa score 41 points against you. And you just beat Michigan State by 3. So now you have Oregon, probably going to lose that game.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I don't know.
There's a lot of talk about who's played who, and not trying to knock down teams. If you look at the grand scheme of things, though, I think the SEC has shown it's the best conference. It's what's going to get the most teams in. And I can't say if you're the best team in the best conference that you're worse than 2 other teams.
Sure.
That's just my take.
But, again, just to recap for me, I have Ohio State number 1, A&M 2, Indiana 3, Bama 4 are the top 4, Tech, the Big 12 champs 5, Georgia 6, Ole Miss 7, Oregon and Notre Dame 8 and 9, Vanderbilt 10, ACC champ Georgia Tech at 11, and my group of 5 pick is James Madison in the Sun Belt. They have a pretty much clear path at this point in front of them. The Americans cannibalized itself outside of North Texas. That would be the only thing. If North Texas wins the American and runs the table, that would be my only competition to James Madison if James Madison were to run the table as well.
I think if North Texas wins, and let me check their schedule, who they have remaining. Right, they have UAB, Rice, and Temple. So I think they could very easily be 11-1.
And probably playing.
And then South Florida has Navy, UAB, and Rice. So I think, and then Tulane has FAU, Temple, and Charlotte. So they're all going to be 1-loss teams. right?
In conference.
In conference play. USF, I think, is going to get in because they're going to have that win against North Texas, right? It's hard for me to think that the AAC will not find a way to put their best two teams out there. And it honestly gives you a better chance if you have UNT play against USF and show that, hey, that 63-36 loss was a fluke.
Yeah.
There were some weird things that happened in that game, special teams-wise and defensive touchdowns, and then all of a sudden you look up and you're down big and you've given up 28 points that aren't on the defense. So...
And it's curious with James Madison, they're likely going to lock horns with Southern Miss in the Sun Belt Championships. James Madison, they have a pretty clear rest of the way. App State and Washington State in Harrisonburg, and then you're at Coastal to finish. So,
well, Troy takes on Southern Miss in that final game of the regular season.
That could be the difference,
which would determine the winner of the West Division of the Sun Belt. So. Yeah, I think you have to be careful. Just penciling in Southern Miss there. I think James Madison is going to take it on. I think it's just going to be, who are you playing out of there? Mm-hmm. Who does the committee value the most in those conference championship games to determine that?
Yeah.
Because we have to have a group of 5 champion. That's the whole reason why they did it.
That's right. So that's what we think. We'll see what the CFP committee says tomorrow night. I'll definitely be watching that. Looking ahead into week number 12, lots of fun games that are on the slate next week. Indiana is hosting Wisconsin in Bloomington. Texas A&M is in College Station against South Carolina. So a big one for A&M to just take care of their business. An 11 a.m. kick on ESPN. College Game Day is in Pittsburgh again for Notre Dame and Pitt. Big one for Notre Dame. If they fall to Pitt, that might take Notre Dame out of the conversation. We wouldn't even have to worry about entertaining it anymore. South Florida and Navy in terms of G5 looks, that's one to keep an eye out for.
That's a conference championship game eliminator for both those teams.
It is. Probably my favorite game of the weekend, and it's not even nationally televised. It's on SEC Network Plus. Kentucky is hosting a undefeated FCS team in Tennessee Tech, who is 10-0 on the year, and I'm really worried that the Wildcats are going to drop that game. And because normally you schedule these FCS opponents in the late season because you think, oh, it's an easy win to add to the record. Good luck, Wildcats.
Well, I mean, they did just put up 38 against Florida. Cutter Boley.
It's true.
Looked good. He's been good. Seth McGowan, who I actually got to watch play his final high school game, Mesquite Poteet, back in 2019. He's a grown man running the football. He's 25 years old. Had some troubles at OU, has really gotten things back together in terms of his career. Mm-hmm. He's been fantastic for them. I think
can't tell.
You never know, but 2 wins in a row for Kentucky. Mark Stoops, I said it last week, his seat was getting a little warm.
Yeah.
And I think that when that happens, this team has responded in a way that shows me they really want to play for their coach. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to overlook anybody, especially when at 4-5, you're 2 wins away from bowl eligibility.
Right.
So
a lot to think about.
Going from 2-5 to maybe 6-6 all of a sudden. Very fun Kentucky team to watch.
Oklahoma at Alabama, 2:30 on ABC on Saturday. That'll make for an interesting game. Oklahoma trying to keep their season alive when it comes to the CFP. Number 14, Virginia, who still has an outside shot. They got to win out, I think, to get into the ACC title game. They're at Duke. So that'll be interesting at 2:30 on ESPN.
Both of those teams one loss in ACC play.
This is true.
So if all of a sudden Duke wins out and goes 8-4 and wins the ACC championship game,
do you put them in?
You have to.
Oh, that's right.
They're going to be the highest. Right. They're going to be the highest ranked 5 champions get in, and so all of a sudden the ACC, you're done. You're one bid.
That's it.
Going to Duke. So yeah, great That's a huge game for that conference.
If you want to get multiple teams
in.
And then I'm trying to scroll through here for some other ones. Ole Miss at home against Florida. Ole Miss should take care of their business in Oxford. Yes, it is the Lane Kiffin Bowl. Trinidad Chambliss is just so fun to watch. He's going to make an NFL team really happy one day. And then the nightcapper, number 11 Texas at number 5 Georgia. Make for an interesting game. Can Arch play his best when the lights shine the brightest there at Sanford Stadium? I don't know. We'll see. And then I think my game that I have an upset watch for, TCU at BYU. It's an old Mountain West rivalry that has been renewed now with both in the Big 12. Josh Hoover is playing some of his best football here down the stretch. Tough loss to Iowa State over this last weekend. But TCU going to Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, that I think will make an interesting one. And we'll stay up late for that one. That's a 9:15 kick on ESPN.
Yeah. I'm looking at Maction. That's always going to be fun.
Oh, yes.
All week long.
Can't go wrong with that.
Friday night, Clemson at Louisville.
Mm.
Louisville just lost. How do they respond? I think that's going to be a big one.
Yep.
Arkansas at LSU for the battle of the boot. Arkansas, their offense is fantastic. They are an incredible offensive team.
Sure.
They can't stop water.
Yeah.
They are like bad defensively.
Oh, yes.
LSU, fantastic defensively. Outside of the A&M game, limited Alabama to 20 points.
But they couldn't walk on water.
3 points
or
in
run
the second
on water.
half. They couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if they were standing from me to you from it. I mean, they are terrible offensively.
Yeah.
They can't
Which is
move the
disappointing.
football.
Which is disappointing
because for the entirety of Brian Kelly's tenure, you couldn't stop anybody. Jaden Daniels' Heisman-winning season, if you put on a top 60 defense onto the field, you're in the college football playoff with the Heisman winner, right? But you couldn't. And this year, he finally listens. He brings back everybody he needs to, and they've just been terrible. Now, granted, Garrett Nussmeier trying to play through injuries. At some point, you got to say, Garrett, you're hurting the team. Okay? I forgot where I was listening to. I think it was the Ryan Russillo podcast, and they were talking to a college football reporter, and they were talking about the advanced tracking of the ball speed on Garrett Nussmeier's throws through practice decreased through the week. Like Monday, he's zipping it, and it just goes down. So he is banged up. I don't know if Tyler Van Buren played or not against Alabama. I turned that game off as soon as it was 17-3 because I knew LSU wasn't going to get there. But that is like what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
If Arkansas gets out ahead early because Taylor Green can play, then all of a sudden, I don't know if LSU can play catch-up. But LSU's offense against that Arkansas defense, I mean, UMass could put up 30 points against them. Sam Houston State could put up points against Arkansas. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I think that game has potential to be a lot of fun. And it's just going to be like, what's going to happen here? Is LSU going to actually get to bowl eligibility, or are you going to have to keep waiting for another week?
We're going to find out. It'll be an interesting weekend, and we'll have a lot to talk about next week, whichever day we decide to record this. All right, time for our high school football segment, and arguably there's 4 things I get really excited about when it comes to sports, and that I will go die hard, watch every game that I possibly can. Number 1, the Olympics. Whether it's winter or summer, I will go crazy for it. Yep. Yes, if it's on a different time zone, I'll stay up till 2 a.m. to watch rowing. Whatever it is. It's just fun to me. 2, March Madness. From the first conference tournament to the final buzzer of the NCAA tournament, you'll probably catch me with 4 different windows open trying to watch every bit of it that I can. 3. Actually, it may just be the 3. Yeah, it may just be the 3. Texas high school football playoffs. Nothing like it. Biggest tournament in the world. Biggest single elimination tournament in the world. And it has finally arrived. We have made our predictions as the brackets are full and released. Me and John here, we did 6A, down to 3A. Sorry, Justin, we have left the 2As out. But we are pulling for Wheeler, though. We are indeed pulling for Wheeler in the 2A ranks. But I think we'll start with John's predictions. We did not look at each other's. We made them independently on our own. John's probably a little more informed with the lower levels. I'm slightly more informed on the 5A side. What did you roll out? We predicted our.
I'm looking. What division is Wheeler in? Because I just want to.
I think they're 2A D1.
2A D1?
D1.
D1? All right, let's see what Texas football, if they showed y'all some love or not. No, they did not. They have Panhandle, Ozona, and Cisco winning Region 1. So, anyways, I was going to say, if Wheeler's getting picked, but they're not. So Unfortunate. But we will cheer for Wheeler throughout here on the show. So you said 6A Division 1?
6A Division 1.
All right, yeah.
For preface, we picked the region winners, title game, and the winner, and our dark horse.
Yeah, for me, so I'll just start in Region 1. I have Allen winning. I think they've been the best team in DFW this season, maybe outside of South Lake Carroll. Region 2, I have Waxahachie. Beat Duncanville earlier this year. Only loss on the season is to DeSoto in a district game. They have a really good guy by the name of Jaquan Snell that everybody in the country is going to know his name after next summer. He's going to go play somewhere in the SEC. He's a junior, and he's just absolutely electric. Playmaking the safety. Region 3, I went with Galena Park North Shore.
You got to.
Until somebody shows me that they can beat them in that division, I just have to roll with them. And Region 4, I went with Cibolo Steel. So they've been kind of dominating San Antonio the past couple years. I think this is finally the year that San Antonio school breaks through the Austin barrier and gets there. For my state champion, I have Allen over Cibolo Steel. So I think Allen is going to be the state champion in the largest division in Texas. My dark horse, I have Lake Travis. I think that would be it's a second round matchup between Lake Travis and Cibolo Steel. I think the winner of that.
It wouldn't be second round. It would be a regional. It'd be a regional final.
Regional final. Okay. So yeah, I think Lake Travis was fantastic all year long, undefeated, took care of business. They're always competitive down there, and I think if they get past Cibolo Steel out of Region 4, that could be a team that could make some noise.
Definitely could. Here's my 6A Division 1. We'll just go back and forth on these. Region 1, Allen, presumptive pick. I don't really see anybody else that could try and knock them off. They have a pretty easy path. The only one I could see maybe if they meet up with Permian in round 3. Region 2, this is where I said before we came on, you may kind of look at me a little funny, but hear me out on this one. Klein Collins out of Region 2. Watched them against College Station. You and I were at a restaurant. We were watching it together, and Collins looked pretty good. They did let College Station back in the game, but they have slowly been progressing in the right direction to have such a stellar football program. I think their end of the bracket is pretty favorable. I think they can beat Duncanville in round 3 if they should get there. And I do have them and Waxahachie meeting in the regional final, but I think Klein Collins is able to get to the state semis. Region 3, Galena Park North Shore, yada, yada, yada. You don't need to hear about that. You and I flipped on Region 4 in our dark horse. I said Lake Travis wins Region 4. Cibolo Steel is my dark horse out of Division 1, 6A. Title game, North Shore over Allen.
Yeah, I think, the thing that held me back on North Shore was the losses. And we're going to talk about one of those losses was to Humble Summer Creek. I have winning Region 3, and spoiler alert, I'm winning the 6A Division 2 title. But so 6A Division 2, South Lake Carroll, I think has kind of been there 1A, 1B with Allen in the 6A DFW area for the most part.
Absolutely.
Region 2, I have DeSoto. They have not really slowed down at all. And once again, one of those ones where it's like, hey, until I see somebody beat you, I'm going to ride with the Eagles. Number 3, Humble Summer Creek. Number 4, Austin Vandergriff. I have Humble Summer Creek over South Lake Carroll. My dark horse, Austin Westlake. Westlake plays Vandergriff round 1.
Ooh.
Yeah. tough matchup. Westlake only lost in district play to Lake Travis this year. They're always talented.
Yes.
I think if they're able to beat Vandergrift, there's a chance for them to run the table through 4A or Region 4 down there and possibly make some noise. But they do have the unenviable task playing Humble Summer Creek in the regional final or in the state semifinal on that side of the bracket.
Here's actually for my prediction, it's no different from you in terms of the region winners. I said South Lake Carroll Region 1, DeSoto Region 2, Humble Summer Creek Region 3, Austin Vandergrift number 4. However, I flipped Carroll out, and I put DeSoto in the title game, but they'll lose to Summer Creek. I think Summer Creek is by far the best team in 6A Division 2. For my dark horses in this part of the bracket, I have 2. I wrestled with it for a little bit, but I had 2. I have CE King as a dark horse. Only reason of that is because I've been hearing about them nonstop this year because of our silent reporter and producer extraordinaire, Emma Sims. Her dad is an assistant coach at CE King. So is there a little bias in there just because we love Emma here on the show? A little bit. But here's the other thing about King. They have played some really good football.
Yeah.
They beat Westfield at Westfield, a 7-point loss at Dickinson, tough place to go play. Beat Decaney, beat Atascocita, beat GCM. They beat Summer Creek 42-28. And then took care of Humble, Kingwood, and Channelview. And they were right there with North Shore the whole game, out until the very end when they started to pull away. That's what I think if they get them and they have them put together at the right time and the bracket works favorably for them, which I think it does, I think King has an opportunity to go make some noise. My other dark horse would be our old faithful at Katy High School. Perennial powerhouse in 6A, 5A years before, and growing up for me it was 5A. Watching Andy Dalton sling the football. But Katy is my other one. Dominated their district. And another team that could catch fire at the right time. And that's why I think that both of those teams could definitely make some noise. I couldn't go with just one. I had to go with the 2. I know that's cheating, but either way, 6A is going to be fun. Very fun to watch.
Absolutely. 5A Division 1, Region 1, I have Aledo. Everybody knows. Don't have to say anything.
No.
Region 2, got Frisco Lone Star. Region 2 in 5A Division 1 is really, really stacked up. I think Lone Star has been the most consistent team in that region this season, so I'm going to roll with them. Region 3, I have College Station. And that's not just me putting on my purple tinted glasses and my Homer hat. When I look at the Cougars, I think they're the hottest team, one of the hottest teams in the state of Texas. They've won 6 in a row. They changed the offense after starting 0-4, really geared it towards a run-heavy, dominant attack, ball control offense, and then just absolutely blasted through the rest of their district. Their only losses of the season is to a 6A Magnolia, that's a top 25 team. Quine Collins, who is your Region 2 champion, or predicted Region 2 champion, lost by 7 in the season opener. They lost to an Austin Anderson team that is very talented, finished 9-1, and then lost to crosstown rival A&M Consolidated whenever they just they gave up some big pass plays. So I think the Cougars are poised with their side of the bracket to avoid the heavy part of it. Like Port Arthur Memorial is going to be tough, but I think College Station has that playoff experience, and that coaching staff having been there for as long as they have been. Region 4, I have PSJA North.
Far San Juan Alamo action.
Yeah, went back and forth between them and Smithson Valley, and I think it's going to be the Valley's year. I really do. I think this is going to be the year that they can break through. My dark horse, here's what I will say. For the most part, my dark horses are either district champions that were really good or second place teams to teams that are favored. I'm like, they were played close. I picked a fourth place team. I picked Pflugerville Weiss.
Ooh.
Pflugerville Weiss went 6-2 in district play, and finished in 4th place in the district.
It's a gauntlet.
Yes, they beat Austin Anderson. They lost to A&M Consolidated and College Station, and that head-to-head with College Station knocked them into 4th place. Trey Moore is absolutely dynamic. Their quarterback, he's a sophomore, fantastic. He's going to be one of the highest recruited guys in the country in a couple years. They went on the road and beat Austin Anderson, who was trying to go 10-0 for the first time in school history. And so when I look at that Pflugerville Weiss team, I think they have a lot of weapons. I think that they're 4th place in one of the hardest districts in the state of Texas. That's one of the reasons why I like College Station out of Region 3, is because of that district grind and gauntlet. And when I look at just what they can do, them being in 4th place got them on a favorable side of the bracket.
They did.
And so that is, I think Weiss could make some noise out of that 4 seed.
I mean, they got to play LaPorte in round 1, which is a tough draw.
Yes.
But if you're able to get by that, you're matching up with either Houston Westbury or Lufkin. So you got to feel good about that, even though the travel is absolutely insane. On the other side of that bracket, it's Austin Anderson, a team they've seen, or probably Barbers Hill. So if they can get by LaPorte, look out.
Yes.
Yeah. My 5AD1, Alito, cut and dry. Don't need to say much about it. May win the whole thing. We'll get to that in a second.
Also, I had Alito over College Station.
You did have Alito over College Station.
Yes.
College Station. You biased man.
Alito versus College Station 3, man.
I guess.
I'm a sucker for a trilogy.
Region 2, you said you were going with Lone Star. Yep. I went on the other side of the bracket. I'm looking at Highland Park, the Scots.
That was the other one that I was like, these two, they're on opposite sides of that Region 2 bracket. I think that's going to be the regional final.
I really like Highland Park. I think they have a pretty easy path to the regional final, and then, it'll come down to them and Lone Star. Region 3, I have Port Arthur Memorial. Here's why. I know their schedule, it was not hard, to say the least. Their closest game of the season was on September the 5th against the Legacy School of Sports Sciences, where they won 53-49. Which I don't even know if that's
so Legacy School of Sports Sciences in Houston.
They're a freelance.
It's a magnet school.
Right.
Right now they're trying to get into the UIL. They're playing an outlaw schedule.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Port Arthur Memorial. Their star quarterback, he's the number 1 player in the country.
No, Port Arthur Memorial beat them.
Port Arthur Memorial beat them. Star quarterback is the number 1 player in the country, going to U of H. They have a wide receiver committed to A&M. They are very, very talented. But they also lost to Franklin, who we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah. But that was Port Arthur Memorial's closest game. Since then, they've rolled by everybody. Hightower, which is a good win. Beat Cleburne, blanked Beaumont United, beat Galveston Ball, beat Barbers Hill, beat Westbrook, blanked Lufkin, which is a district game, by the way, that sucks, and beat Baytown Sterling. They'll match up with Galena Park in round 1. I just think they're going to keep that momentum going. They've beaten everyone they're supposed to beat, and I just don't see anybody else out of Region 3 being able to handle them. Now, if it's them and A&M Consolidated in round 2, that's going to be a really good ball game. Mm-hmm. But just having seen Consol over the last few years, but I just think Port Arthur Memorial has what they need to do to win Region 3.
Yeah.
Smithson Valley, I have them out of Region 4. I was between them and PSJA. That's who I was between. And then I have Alito over Smithson Valley in the title game. My dark horse, a team that I saw earlier this year firsthand. I have the Cedar Park Timberwolves.
Yes.
Out of Region 2. That could give Highland Park fits in round 3. They're very electric on the offensive side. They can run the ball like nobody's business. Huntsville saw that. They went to overtime with Cedar Park. 2 teams that just went back and forth. Just an unfortunate fumble ended the game for Huntsville in overtime. But Cedar Park, very, very talented team, and I think they could be some surprises out of 581.
All right, 5A Division 2, Region 1, I have the Argyle Eagles, a perennial power, just have been absolutely rolling this year. Like you said with Port Arthur Memorial, I don't think anybody stops them until they get to South Oak Cliff, the Mecca up there, Region 2.
Yeah.
Going to have South Oak Cliff versus P&G in that regional final game. It's going to be electric wherever they play. I have Richmond Randall, defending state champion, out of Region 3. Landis, have you seen Landis McCallus Williams?
So Landon Williams-Callis.
Landon Williams-Callis.
I saw him as a freshman because Huntsville and Randall were in the same district 2 years ago. That kid's a stud.
Yes.
He
Absolutely.
is. There's a reason why he's in the running for National Player of the Year for Max Preps.
Yeah.
He is.
As a junior.
He's got it all. He's going to go make a college coach very happy. He's going to make an NFL team very happy.
Yeah.
He's got that upside. I got to tip my cap to that kid. He is unbelievable.
And he's 5'7".
Yeah.
But he just is insane. And so I think him, Power, and Richmond Randall, give me them out of Region 3. Region 4, I went with San Antonio Alamo Heights. This is for my dad for when you watch this. Gregory Portland, I will never pick them. He absolutely despises Gregory Portland. You can ask him about it later. Go Alice Coyotes. But unfortunately, the Coyotes lost to Roma. So they pulled the Sam Houston, had no home games this year.
Oh,
they
really?
were renovating their stadium.
Oh, okay.
So they were having to get on a bus and drive 30 miles to play their home games. Went 2-8 after being picked to win the district championship.
Was that Alice?
Alice.
Oh, brutal.
It was rough. They still had a chance, though, but then they lost to Roma. So, but yeah, I have San Antonio Alamo Heights, another one of those schools in San Antonio that kind of just are right now. The feeder patterns have them getting a lot of the talent.
Mm-hmm.
My dark horse, I have Iowa Colony. Going to move up to 6A next year, more than likely, or at least 5A Division I. They're in Richmond Randall's district. They're just as dynamic. They're just as explosive as Richmond Randall. I think that when they played them, they lost by 4. I think it was 27-23, something like that.
It was close. It was close.
It was very, very close. So that's just another team that, because they're in second place, they're on the other side of the bracket from Richmond Randall. So if Iowa Colony is able to get to the regional final, Lightning can. It's hard for it to strike twice, and they've played Richmond Randall a lot over these past couple of years. So
yeah.
All
right, my 5A Division 2.
And then I have Richmond Randall over South Oak Cliff.
Rematch.
Rematch, repeat. Give me Richmond Randall.
Rinse and repeat.
Yes.
5A Division 2, obviously hard for me because I call games for a 5A D2 school that is in the postseason, but these are just my honest opinions on this. Region 1, I have Walnut Grove. The undefeated Prosper Walnut Grove winning Region 1, meeting with Argyle in round 3, and I think they win that matchup. They're dynamic as they can be. And being a brand new school, obviously there's a lot of kids that are in that Prosper area that maybe zone that direction. They love playing there, and I think they take Region 1. Region 2, South Oak Cliff takes care of that. I think they defeat Crandall. They're going to face Montgomery in round 2, which will be a good test for Sock, by the way. Watching Montgomery this year, they have taken it to a new level. I think this is just maybe my bias showing. I think it's Huntsville and South Oak Cliff in round 3. And then they'll meet with Texas High in the regional final with South Oak Cliff. But Sock goes to the state semis. Right? Region 3, I have Iowa Colony winning Region 3. There's 2 former Huntsville coaches, or 1 former Huntsville coach that's now at Iowa Colony, and another who played for Huntsville. And I've had conversations with them, and they gave me all the laydown of the guys they have and just the dynamic play that they have. I think they're the team that can go the distance. They're probably going to meet up with Brenham in round 3, is my think, on that front, and then meet with Randall in round 4, which will be a heck of a ball game wherever it will be. And then my Region 4 winner, I have Bernie coming out of Region 4. They have played some really good football this year. Their one loss was at the start of the year to San Antonio Piper, which is another brand new school in the San Antonio area. I think when you have brand new schools, they're going to have a little bit more of just juice behind them because some players that may have been at a different school, they get rezoned and then they end up over there. I think it's not recruiting, but it's just zoning and moving players, and I think that's what's helped Piper have the success they've had. But Bernie, since then, they have just rolled by everybody else. A 10-point win over Victoria West and a 2-point win over Alamo Heights. So I think Bernie is the one that comes out of Region 4. I have South Oak Cliff over Iowa Colony in the title game. My dark horse is Texas High.
Okay.
I was torn between them and Montgomery at first, but then I realized Montgomery plays Salk in round 2, and I was like, that might not be good. But I'm going with Texas High. They just seem to ooze talent year in and year out, and they're kind of like a tick. It won't go away. And so give credit to the guys in Texarkana. That's my pick as a dark horse out of 5AD2. But it's good. That is such a fun division, but it's also a stacked division of teams that are just loaded with talent.
Yeah.
So 481.
Yeah. Region 1, I have Stephenville. The history.
Oh yeah, you got to.
They're fantastic. They've been great all year. Region 2, I have Springtown. And Springtown is a team that these past couple of years has been on the rise. They struggled a little bit about 5 years ago, and then I think some redistricting and rezoning and things like that over there with Azle kind of helped them get some more talent, and they've been on the rise. They compete in a district with the old College Station coach, Steve Huff's Decatur team. So when following Decatur, I've seen Springville slowly but surely start to catch up with the Eagles there.
Sure.
Region 3, I have Kilgore. They're out there in that East Texas District of Doom is what they call it over on the Dave Campbell boards. I watched them last year. They were a buzzsaw, and apparently this year they've been even better. Region 4, I have Austin LBJ. I think they just have the most talent.
They do.
They're always going to have talent, and they're always going to have athletes. Stephenville, for my state champion, I have Stephenville over Kilgore. I'm going to ride with the Yellow Jackets. My dark horse, Fort Bend Crawford. Only loss was to Belleville this year, who I'm going to talk about in 4AD2. I watched them last week just absolutely dominated Navasota team that, in a way, I've not seen that Navasota team get dominated all year. Alvin Mosley is a name that you're going to want to learn if you're listening. He's going to be playing somewhere on Sundays. 6'3", 215-pound wide receiver. They have a junior quarterback named Benji Fisher who just makes plays and gets the ball out to who it needs to be. And they have a sophomore running back named David Polk that he just is electric whenever he touches the ball. And they have him and a senior that they just rotate every other drive. And those guys just stay fresh, and they're both dynamic and both electric. So they just a ton of talent in the secondary. That I think whenever time comes down to it, they could be a team that could give Kilgore some real trouble.
You shall wait and see. Here's my look. Region 1, I have El Paso Ysleta taking Region 1. I think it's time El Paso gets a little bit of love. They're kind of that, region of the state when it comes to, like state championships, stuff like that. They kind of get swept under the rug behind the Houstons, the Dallas, and the Austin and the San Antonio schools, and the Valley even. The Valley kind of fits in there with the El Paso side. But I have El Paso Ysleta winning Region 1. Region 2, I'm going Springtown as well. I think they're loaded with talent. Region 3, Kilgore. Region 4, I had a hard time wrestling with. At first, I was between LBJ Austin and then Cal Allen. And then I looked further up on Cal Allen's side of the bracket. And what led me to this decision was just the way they've played this year and their only losses to Salina. Not to Salina, sorry. Their only loss was to Cuero. Lavernia, the Bears. Fun little side note. When my junior year of high school, we went to this camp off the Frio called Alto Frio Baptist Encampment, and I met these guys that were sharing our bunk. They're twin brothers, youth pastors, Jordan and Jacob Moy. Shout out to you guys. I believe it's Jordan that is a coach at Lavernia, and I reached out to him and said, hey, congratulations on getting into the postseason, and I asked him about his team a little bit, and he said that, we have gobs of talent up and down the roster. The defense has been up and down, but he feels like they're a team that can go run with the best of them, and I think they have a favorable end of the bracket to probably meet with LBJ Austin in the regional final. So,
last year they upset LBJ in the second round of the playoffs.
That's right.
And Austin LBJ was the consensus pick to not only win Region 4, but
That's right.
a lot of people have them winning the state championship.
So that I feel that much the same can happen again, just 2 rounds further down the line. But however, I do have Kilgore over Springtown in the title game. My dark horse comes from Region 2, who Springtown will likely meet in round 3, and that is the Sulphur Springs Wildcats, who went 9-1 this year. Their loss was to Salina at Salina, but they have been able to get by everybody else pretty much with ease, and I think they're a team that can definitely get hot at the right time. One of their broadcasters, Ryan Humphreys, former Bearcat, has told me a lot about them, so I have my eye on Sulphur Springs at a 4AD1.
Yep. And so who did you have in your state champion?
Kilgore over Springtown.
Kilgore over Springtown, that's right. So for 4A Division 2, I have Carthage over Waco La Vega, another repeat from last year. Region 1, I have Brock. They've made the move up from 3A to 4A and just have continued to be great. Carthage Region 2, Scott Surratt, I think, is the best coach in the history of Texas high school football, and it's not even really close. All he does is win. He's turned down college coaching job offers and just, content to stay in Carthage.
Yeah.
Region 3, I have Waco La Vega. Probably the best Waco school. They're always going to be good. And they've returned a lot of guys from the state championship team last year.
They did.
And then Region 4, I have Sinton down by Corpus.
Mm-hmm.
So they won their district. They've beaten some really quality teams. And when I look at Region 4, I look at a lot of the big names in that. Cal Allen and some other big names are on the bottom half of that district or region, and Sinton's by itself at the top. I mean, Wimberley's down there at the bottom with Cal Allen, and so I think Region 4 is Sinton's to lose. My dark horse, Belleville, in Region 3. They play a really, really tough district. They have Sealy, they have Madisonville, they have a couple other teams. They beat Fort Bend Crawford and shut down a Crawford team that, maybe if I need to go look at some box scores, but by all accounts was healthy when they played them, and where the Brahmas were able to take them down. They have a lot of winning tradition down there, and I think it's a third-round matchup between them and Waco La Vega.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can get past that, I think that they can go make a lot of noise, but ultimately Scott Surratt's inevitable.
He is. This is where my thought process got a little cloudy. Region 1, I have Greenwood coming out of that end of the bracket. I think they have a fairly easy path to the regional final, probably locking up with Brock in the regional final, but I have them coming out of it. Region 2, I went the upset bid instead of Carthage. In round 3, I have Pleasant Grove.
Okay.
Getting to the regional final and ultimately the state semis. I know he's inevitable, but I think at some point it's going to have to give at some point. And I think Pleasant Grove's the team that can do that. They've dominated everyone. A 12-point loss to Kilgore is their only blemish on their year. But they've been able to just defeat everyone else that they're supposed to beat, undefeated district champions, in a huge way. So, yeah, you could say, easy district, but I think they had the talent to be able to get them there. But them and Carthage in round 3 is going to be a lot of fun. And then I have Belleville coming out of Region 3. I went with them. I think, just from what you've told me about them, they have the talent. They'll meet with La Vega in round 3. And then I went Bandera out of Region 4. Again, another team that I think has a pretty clear-cut path to the regional final. They meet Gonzalez in round 1, then they would probably face Cuero in round 2, which will be a test, and then probably Salado in round 3. And then potentially a matchup with either Sinton or Wimberley in round 4. So, but I think Bandera comes out of that. I have Belleville over Pleasant Grove in the title game. My dark horse, Carthage.
I don't know if you can consider Carthage.
You can't really call them a dark horse.
But I guess if we're going by the definition of we don't have them winning their region, then yes.
Yes.
But
that's going to be a really fun division to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Now on to 3A.
3A Division 1, I have Franklin over Jim Ned in the championship. Franklin, I was talking to somebody from down there, and he was like, the problem is that we have a bad record because nobody in 3A will play us anymore. So they have to go play the Houston Legacy School of Sports Science. They have to go play Salina. They have to go play all these teams that are 1, 2, sometimes 3 divisions above them.
Yeah.
And then they just get into 3A play, and they just dominate people, and they road grade them. Last year they lost to Columbus, a Columbus team that was built to beat them, and that Columbus team lost a lot of people. So that's Franklin, who I've winning Region 3. I have Jim Ned in Region 1. They've just been the best team on that side of the bracket and in that region. I have Pottsboro in Region 2. Once again, just kind of have been in the top 3 consistently all year with Franklin and with Jim Ned. Lano, I've coming out around Region 4. They made a deep playoff run last year. They brought a lot of pieces back. My dark horse in Region 3, Fairfield, up the road I-45 from us.
Mm-hmm.
They've been a very good program for a while now, and they've just dominated everybody they wanted to on a way to a 10-0 record. I don't know if they're on the same side of the bracket into Region 3 as Franklin.
They would meet them in round 4.
So it would be, when you win 4 games in a row in the playoffs, you're sitting at 14-0 and you have that kind of momentum. I think it takes away some of that, oh my gosh, we're playing Franklin, wide eyes in the headlights. And I think if they can get over that kind of shock factor, I think that they can pull the upset. And then from there, Region 3 Division 1's wide open.
Yep. I went Jim Ned in Region 1, just from a historical standpoint. They've always been a powerhouse down there, and I think they've done all they had to do this year to be good. I went Gladewater in Region 2. I think they have a pretty easy path to a regional final, probably meeting up with a Pottsboro or a Whitney in round 4. I went Fairfield to take Region 3, and here's why. I'm going to shout out Ben Reichert real quick. He is a Fairfield Eagle grad. He's talked about it with me all year long, and he went to he went to a game earlier this year, and they're just loaded with talent. Yep. And it's what's vaulted them to this 10-0 start. I think they have a very favorable path to round 4 to probably meet up with Franklin. You got Anahuac round 1. I think that's a dub. You either meet up with Yoakum or McGregor in round 2, and then probably, oddly enough, either a meeting with Hardin or Little River Academy in round 3. So I think they have one of the easier paths to round 4, but I think they come out of that region and get it. Region 4, I went with the Raymondville Bearkats. That's cats with a K, by the way. Just for reference there. 10-0 year, and has been dominant over everybody that they've faced. Defeated St. Joseph Academy by 3, took care of La Feria by 11, and took care of their district opponents too. Won all the way through, with some tight games in the mix of that. So I think Raymondville comes out of Region 4. My title game is Fairfield over Gladewater, and I'm going with my dark horse being Lano to be the one coming out of Region 4. That's my dark horse pick. Yep. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch as well. I'm excited to see what Fairfield can do after dominating their district slate and now getting into the playoffs with the big boys.
Yeah. So 3A Division 2. Let me just look this up real quick so I can make sure I'm giving credit to the Wall Hawks. Okay, last year went 13-2, lost to Gunter in the semifinals of the state. They've won more than 10 games 4 times in the past few years. They changed their offense last season. They brought back all their skill players. They are 10-0. They've been absolutely dominating everybody. They beat Jim Ned 24-0. Just absolutely dominating up there in the Panhandle. When you look at 3A Division 2, they're number 2 behind Tidehaven. So I have them winning Region 1. Region 2, I have Gunter. They are the perennial favorites in 3A Division 2. Just absolutely dominating almost everybody. They're 9-1 this season. They beat Leonard 41-0 last week. Their only loss came to Salina, who is a 4A Division 1 program. That tells you who they're having to play because nobody will play them. I don't know what does. They won the state championship last year. They had to reload on offense, but they brought back their leading running back, and they just – here's the past 5 years, okay, for Gunther. This year, they're 9-1. Last year, 14-2 state champion. The year before that, 16-0 state champion. The year before that, 2022, 15-0 state champion. 2021, they lost to Franklin 49-35 in a nail-biter.
Championship game.
The year before that, 12-2 against Canadian. The year before that, they went 15-1, our 14-1 state champion, and then in 2018 they lost Canadian 17-7 in the semifinal. So they are experienced. The coaching staff has been there forever. They've reloaded. They've blown out everybody. I think they're the favorite out of Region 2. Region 3, Newton down by Beaumont. The historic program just has continued to roll as they have.
Mm-hmm.
I think where they – let me see here if I can find where they're ranked. They are ranked number 4 in the state of Texas in that division. And then coming out of Region 4, Tidehaven, they're the number 1 team in the state in that division. I have Gunter over Tidehaven, which I believe is a rematch of last year's state champion. Let me make sure I'm giving that to you correctly. No, they beat Woodville last year. So Woodville upset Tidehaven last year and then played against Gunter. I think Gunter, with their experience, even if those kids haven't been playing at the varsity level, they've been in the program. They know the expectation.
Right.
My dark horse is Canadian up in the Panhandle. Canadian, again, another one of those historic programs that they just are always there. Won their district this year. I think their matchup with Gunter is second or third round. Their matchup with Wall is second or third round when they get there. So
it would be round 4.
Round 4. Oh, so even better. So they're on the opposite side of the bracket from Wall. But yeah, I think those Gunter, the championship pedigree, it just makes it. I find it hard to bet against those kind of teams.
Yeah, I went Canadian out of Region 1. I think their matchup with Wall will be really good, but I think they come out on top. Region 2, Gunter, no question about it. Region 3, Newton, no question about it. I've seen what they've done in their district. They're districted with New Waverly and Trinity, so I'm looking at those scores every now and then, and it felt like every time I saw the Newton score, it was just blown out of proportion. So Newton out of Region 3. I have Tidehaven out of Region 4. Title game, Gunter over Newton. My dark horse, however, comes out of Region 4. If they're able to get by Tidehaven, which I believe is a round 3 matchup for them, let me make sure I'm saying that correctly. No, it'd be a round 4 matchup. I have the George West Longhorns being my dark horse pick. 10-0 district champions. It's a 7-team district. They beat Monte Alto pretty big, beat Odom by 24, beat Banquete by 65, beat Santa Rosa by 6, beat Hebronville by 41, shut them out, and then just beat Taft 69-32. They have a pretty relatively easy path in their region. Probably their challenge will be Poth in round 3. But I think they could definitely be one that sleeps under the radar and could sneak in there if they're able to get by Tidehaven in round 4. So we say all that to say
we have absolutely no idea what's going to happen.
No. We don't know. The predictions don't matter. It's like, whose line is it anyway? The rules are made up and the points don't matter. But best of luck to all the teams that are going to be competing in the postseason this year in the greatest tournament of all time. All right, we are starting to run out of time here as we're recording this. I'm about an hour away from having to go to Chick-fil-A for the coaches show, so I think we can mosey through these 2 segments relatively quickly. I'll leave it up to you. College hoops or NFL?
I think we have to go with the NFL with the craziness that's today with the Giants firing Brian Daboll. I mean, my goodness gracious.
You said it earlier. Why are they firing coaches instead of GMs?
Yeah, I mean, Joe Schoen has shown an inability to put a team together. I mean, his drafting history has been terrible. He lucked into Malik Neighbors.
He did.
But last year's that draft was so loaded, it's almost impossible to miss a pick. Kayvon Thibodeau's regressed way past what he was. I mean, Jackson Dart looks like a good pick. That was because Brian Daboll said we need to go back in and get Jackson Dart in the first round. before somebody else grabs him.
And then Dart's out there, taking hits, trying to save his job.
Yeah, and so, I understand that the losses are great. Why did you spend $40 million on Russell Wilson? Why did you spend that money on him instead of getting some pass protection or somebody in your secondary? Like, that's a Joe Schoen decision. I don't understand why Brian Daboll, coaches get punished way too often in the world of the NFL. We just saw it, we saw it with Miami. I'm glad they haven't fired Mike McDaniel yet because he wasn't the one that put the team together.
No.
Right? He's the one that's responsible to putting the team that is assembled in the best position to win. But these GMs far too often fire coaches left and right because, they're not winning. Well, who put the team together?
You!
You did. So, anyways, yeah. It was a crazy game. We can talk about the Texans coming back the way they did. But, yeah, just absolutely mind-blowing. You fire Brian Daboll. I get it. You haven't been good underneath him. But
they haven't had a good coach since Tom Coughlin. Let's be honest.
Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year.
No, I know he did. I know he did, but
he's not the one that let Saquon Barkley walk away.
This is true.
The guy was the MVP of the league last year.
But you look since 2018, they haven't had a winning head coach.
Well, yeah, because Ben McAdoo was terrible.
Yeah.
But
even then, oddly enough, of the coaches they've had in the last 7 years, Ben McAdoo has the best record.
Yeah, because he actually had a semi-competent GM assembling a team for him.
Right.
But, this guy he signed Daniel Jones to a 4-year, $160 million
contract. Okay, well,
contract.
drafting him was a mistake to begin with.
Well, he was the one that was the old coach, and then he doubled down on Daniel Jones and signed him to a 4-year, $40 million contract. When everybody said, why? Okay. So that's one thing he did.
But then you let him walk, and now he's...
And then, because you signed him to that contract, you couldn't re-sign Saquon Barkley. Okay, Daniel Jones was bad because there was no offensive line in front of him. That's plain and simple what it was.
Because that's a good point, because now he's in Indianapolis, and he's got a semi-competent line in front of him.
He's got an above-average line. Quentin Nelson is fantastic. Quentin Nelson raises the level of your line play up 2 levels. He will take a mediocre line and make them look like they're filled with Pro Bowlers.
Right.
I've seen that kind of effect before with the Cowboys when they had Travis Frederick and Zach Martin right there, able to help out. Right. But what are we doing?
It's a tough look for the Giants.
You re-signed Darius Slayton. You gave him $36 million. You couldn't have used that to help shore up the secondary?
It doesn't work when you just throw money around aimlessly.
I understand. Yeah, but Brian Daboll...
No, I'm not saying it's Daboll's fault.
And this is
I'm with you on the
fan.
GM. I'm with you on the GM talk in the sense that why are we firing coaches instead of GMs?
Yeah.
So who does that fall back on?
Well, when we look at owners, I understand my owner can't fire himself. I'm stuck with my GM till the day he passes away.
Yeah.
And Jerry, I actually like the moves that they made at the trade deadline. We can talk about that later. But as they showed that Hard Knocks offseason with the Giants. And Joe Schoen's son is like, hey, who should I take? He was like, you should go all in on Jaden Daniels. Like, don't sign Daniel Jones. Sign Saquon and go all in on Jaden Daniels and trade everything you have for him. Could you imagine Jaden Daniels and Saquon Barkley in the same backfield?
Oh, they'd be winning games left and right.
Exactly.
Be NFC East front.
How is your son a better GM than you? He's better than the Jets' son, Woody Johnson's son. So you're saying, well, Dad, his awareness rating on Madden isn't very good. So, I think, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, let's look at the games over the weekend. I'll say Thursday Night Football, that was a trash heap and a half. The Broncos and the Raiders.
I'm glad this generation gets to understand what me and you and Justin all grew up watching on the original Thursday Night Football. How many times did we have to watch Titans versus Jaguars? Bortles versus Mariota.
In Color Rush,
Color Rush, yes. So That's for y'all. Y'all now understand the pain we used to have with that.
Let's talk, Justin. We can bring you in here on this on Texans and Jags. I'll be honest. I was watching Red Zone for most of it. I didn't want to turn on the game when I saw the Texans were down 29-10. I was like, there's no point in doing this. Then they started doing more Texan stuff on the Red Zone, and I was like, all right, maybe I need to flip over and watch this. And I turned it on, and I was like, holy cow!
No,
Davis Mills put the team on his back, literally. Yeah. Throws 2 passing touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and then the rushing touchdown to ultimately help win the game. Well, it was technically the game-winning touchdown when you think about it, because remember, those last 6 points were on the last play. But, man, that saved the Texans season.
No, it really did. I actually didn't get to watch much of the game. We were on our way back from church. We stopped to eat, and the game was on in the third quarter. Man, the score was like 29-10. I'm like, well, here we go. Jaguars are going to sweep us. That's the season. All is lost. And then something happened. We drove home from Los Pericos, and the comeback began.
Yep.
I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Second largest comeback in franchise history.
What was the first largest?
The Chargers in 2013 on Monday Night Football.
Right.
Yeah. That was the biggest comeback. So that one trumps actually the Andre Johnson overtime comeback win back in 2012, which was what helped me fall in love with the sport of football. Oddly enough, also against Jacksonville. So yeah, monumental comeback. You save the season because you're not sure what CJ is going to look like in the next couple of weeks, but Davis is showing that he can run this team. In the absence of Stroud, with the playmakers he's got around him, Woody Marks is a stud, and I think the most underrated pick in the draft. And then he's got those 2 kids from Iowa State as weapons for him. He gets Nico back. I think this team's going to start heating up at the right time, even without CJ, and I think Davis shows he can lead a team. So ultimately down the line, let's say if they decide to exile him and let him go to a different team, he can start for somebody. And be good for him, but I'm glad he's on our side right now.
Me and Houston were talking on the way to the airport today, but we both agree he's probably like the best backup in the NFL.
He's like what you got 3. When you had Josh McCown.
Yeah,
you knew you were going to get quality, games out of him. So I think that's going to set up the Texans for some good success. Boy, the Bills and the Dolphins, brutal. If you're a Buffalo fan. Losing to Miami, Mike McDaniel trying to save his job right now, but that's a big win for Miami at home. I think the most laughable one of the weekend was the Jets and the Browns. I know that's a tank bowl and then some. Did you see how the Browns lost that game?
I did not.
So the Jets were about to punt it away to the Browns. It's it's 4th down and 5. Jets have a timeout left, so they're going to burn it. They try to draw Cleveland offsides. If you are a defender for Cleveland, you know they're not going to snap the dang ball. What happens? Guy jumps, neutral zone infraction. It's a 5-yard penalty. First down, the game's over.
Goodness me.
That is such a Cleveland Browns way to lose a ball game.
Such a New York Jets way to win a ball game.
Yeah.
When they're trying to
That
tank.
is such... there's a guy I love watching on YouTube, Urinating Tree. He's hilarious. Shout him out. I'm excited when Sports Ball releases this week and what he'll say about that Tank Bowl. And then a lot of other games that I thought were going to be like a lot closer and ended up not being a lot closer. Rams and Niners was kind of a letdown in terms of being a close ball game. Rams win by 16. And then the Lions just decimated the Commanders on the road, and the Lions are starting to look like the Lions of old. And then Sunday Night Football was a dud.
Yes.
Chargers and Steelers, wasn't impressive in the slightest. Chargers really dominated from start to finish, made Aaron Rodgers look terrible.
Yeah, we got bored.
Helped me in fantasy football because I needed a good game out of Justin Herbert, and he got me that. So. And then good one tonight, Eagles and Packs. That ought to be a really good one at Lambeau.
Potential
NFC Championship
preview.
Yeah, so that'll be a lot of fun. And then Cowboys are on the bye. Did they beat the bye week, John?
I think we did. When you look at the NFL trade deadline was this week.
Yes.
I think we won that.
Oh, yes, without a doubt.
I think that the moves were actually really well thought out. I think if you're looking to go to more of a 3-down lineman with a 3-4 defensive look, you can do that now with Osa and Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark, and then let Jadeveon Clowney and Essa Ezemuworko, if I said that right, I'm going to congratulate myself, but let them eat on the outside.
Broadcasters, we need to know how to pronounce those things.
So, it was nice. It was nice to watch all my teams win this week.
Yes.
The ones that played.
Yes. So. And then you got to wait until next Monday to watch your guys play again, because that'll be against Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium on the next Monday Night Football game. Texans go on the road to play the Titans, which to me is a certified trap game on the road.
Are they wearing the jerseys?
I don't know.
They're wearing the Oiler jerseys,
I
the
don't
Oiler
know.
throwbacks?
If they do, I feel good.
Yeah.
Because they can't win in those.
You can't win.
And
especially if Davis Mills is playing quarterback.
Yeah, and here's the thing. The Titans are just a trash heap. They're struggling
Again,
right now.
another coach getting fired that I'm like.
And it's going to suck for Cam Ward because no quarterback development.
So you've wasted a year of Cam Ward developing. And
the Giants have wasted a year of Jackson Dart. So,
yes.
Sucks, but we'll see what happens. I like where the Texans are trending. I think both our teams are starting to trend in the right direction to try and backdoor into the postseason. And it'll be interesting, to say the least. All right, last thing, here in the last couple of minutes of this podcast, college basketball is back. It's a breath of fresh air just to see the hardwood back out there on the college floor. A&M starts the year 2-1, John, with wins over Northwestern State and Texas Southern, as you said, games they need to go get. But then that tough one to Okie State.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a different offense. And when I look at it, I'm like, man, you didn't play well. You didn't deserve to win that game. And these guys are still going to figure it out. It's one you would like to have. But at the end of the day, you don't need to have.
No, because it's non-conference, so it doesn't hurt you in the
I thought
grand
the guys
scheme.
played competitive until the end. And so that's what matters in that. First-year head coach, I'm trying to temper my expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm really encouraged by the start Sam Houston has had. Beat Laterno, a team you should have beat, and beat him pretty good. And you got a good look. Your freshman, Jacoby Coleman, was your leading scorer with 17 points. Then they go to the Lubbock to battle the number 10 team, Texas Tech. You're up against JT Toppin, who's a preseason All-American and potential top 10 pick in the NBA draft. And you ran with them really all the way up until the end. Sam Houston held leads in the first half for longer than a possession stretch. It was like 2 to 3 minute stretches where they held the lead. Down the stretch of the first half, they just let Texas Tech go on a run, but then still kept up with them in the first 10 minutes of the second half. It didn't grow to higher than a 14-point lead, which we know in college basketball isn't safe. So I'm really encouraged with how they played against a high-quality team in the Red Raiders. Really gave them fits and a little scare. Played against them much better than they did the last time the Bearkats went to Lubbock. And they covered the spread and held them under 100 points, so you love to see that. They're at Utah on Saturday, and that'll definitely be a good test to see where this team is at.
Absolutely.
Against the team that is projected to be towards the bottom of the Big 12. So I really like what Sam Houston's going to have based off of the first 2 games of the season. A lot of ball to be played, but I think they're going to be in a really good shape going forward. I think A&M, you guys have UCF on Friday.
Yeah, another one of those P4 games that, it's going to be another marker of how well did they do. But, and our Houston, number 1, swap places with Purdue.
Yep.
They take on an Oakland team that gave Purdue a lot of trouble this past week. So, very excited. It's always fun, college basketball.
And then last thing, shout out to the Indiana Hoosiers and Lamar Wilkerson. What a start to the year they've had. I'm really happy for Lamar. He's been playing up to really good standards. He has had a double-digit point game in every game since March 7th, 2023. All double digits last year for Sam Houston, and he started off this year with a 19-point game in their season opener, and then hung 23 on Marquette over the weekend.
Yeah,
so
23, 8 assists, 3 rebounds. I mean,
so happy for that kid.
Doing what he needs to do up there in Bloomington, and Indiana going to try to compete for a Big Ten championship with him, and we continue to wish him all the best here.
That's right.
He continues to give back to Sam Houston, and we appreciate that, and not forgetting where you come from.
That's right. Well, that'll do it for another edition of the Beyond the Mic podcast. We appreciate you guys watching and listening to today's episode. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify and Apple Music so that you don't miss out on any episodes. Subscribe to the KSAM YouTube channel so you can keep up to date with all of that as well. We'll come back next week. I don't know what day we've decided on yet, but I really liked that little Sunday night feel.
It's fun. The Sunday night coming up.
Watching the late window and then coming on to talk about it and then having Sunday Night Football on in the background. I think we may go with that again coming up on Sunday. We could even do a Monday night special. Who knows? It really depends on if Huntsville gets out of round one.
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see on that one.
Yes.
We'll wait and see on that one. But we appreciate you all watching. As always, appreciate all the support you give us week in and week out for this show, and we can't do it without y'all. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week here on Beyond the Mic. Peace.